All right, so good afternoon, everybody. So this is the review for Chapter 7. By the way, that's on the beginning of it, I think. So just as we go from here, we did this in class. Please make sure that you cover this down and that you have everything done. So first and foremost, make sure you guys do the proper multiplication. So that's 15. All right, you're dying back there. You okay?
I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then you guys make sure you add these exponents, okay? So if you add these all together, you know it's going to be 15, a to the 6, b, and f to the 6th power as well. Same with these. Just distribute this into here. And then when you do that, it's going to be negative x to the 4th, y to the 4th, x to the 2nd, and z to the 2nd. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a crowd in here this afternoon. Yeah. But I can't wait anymore to get it done. I want to get this video done. We have this is your answer here. Because I plan on going to the It's a Wonderful Life tonight. All right, good. So as we go from there, make sure you guys know how we do this. Same with here. Any power to 0 is going to be a 1. Square root of 50. Okay, we talked about making sure you guys find the perfect squares. If you do not know the perfect squares, for some reason I always forget 9. Make sure that you guys have these down by now. Okay, split the perfect square because that is the only one that would go in there, and then you can simplify this down to 5 square root of 2. Okay. If, ladies and gentlemen, for example, on the test tomorrow, if you see square root of 60, all right, maybe you'll see one on there. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I know if I can take 4 out of this, okay, because that's a perfect square. If I do that, I have 1, and this would be 15. And then the question is can I take any perfect square out of that? And the answer would be no, you cannot. Okay? So it would be 2 square root of 15. That's disgusting. Good. All right, so know that you have from there. So this one, ladies and gentlemen, simple setup. Multiply it together first. And if you do, you're going to get 18 times 3 is 54. And then what you need to do is tell me what perfect square goes into 54. And it's actually going to be 9. Okay, 9 times 6. Square root of those. You can solve this one to a 3. You can't do anything else with that, so you just leave it at a 6. And the answer is A. Okay, now number 6. Okay, start transcribing the exponents. So it's going to be 2 squared, 3 squared, p squared. So it's going to be that setup just like that. Okay? And when you have it, there's your setup right there. So if you guys need to know, make sure it's just distribution. Please make sure you guys understand that concept. And that when it's 2 pieces, understand that this means there's 2 separate equations that are side by side, and you're just putting them up. Other thing, next one, number 6. The video's still going, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6. What you guys do is simplify this if you can. So 6 over 54 is actually the equivalent of 1 over 9. Okay, so if you divide this into that, so we have this right away, we're done. Now what I want to make sure you guys do is get rid of all of the negative variables or the negative exponents. And how you get rid of a negative exponent is that you take it and do the reciprocal. So if it's on the top, put it on the bottom, put it on the top, so on and so forth. So we know we got 1 over 9 here. Okay, and then we're going to take this f and we're going to drop it down to here. And then we're going to leave the g and the h alone up here. And then we're going to take this, so let's cross those off. This f, put it up here. This g goes up here. And the h stays down below. Now, the last pieces of the puzzle is make sure you guys write it one more time. These will be the hardest things you guys have to do on the test. So it's going to be over 9. Cross that off. The g's would add up because when it's on the same line, remember there's 3 of them here and 5, so it's just 3 plus 5. And then this h, the h's, oh wait, that's not 3. Sorry, this is supposed to be h to the 5th. My bad. I wrote that down wrong. So know when it's h to the 5th, you're left on top h to the 2nd, because these cancel out, and then these two over each other actually cancel each other out as well. And your answer, ladies and gentlemen, is A. Bye, guys. Be good. As you go forward from here, number 8, okay? Simple division. Remember, that's what this is dividing, okay? So 22 divided by 11 is 2. And then if you simplify this, divide these two together, you'll have 3. Remember, so it's r times r times r over r times r. So if you eliminate 2 of them, you got that one on top. This negative variable goes up here, s to the 5th, okay? Hopefully you guys got all of that. Shh. It's quiet. This is the most difficult one, okay? Making sure you guys understand the proper distribution of the negative 2, okay? So when you do this distribution, this needs to go into every piece in here, all right? So when you start it off, make sure you write it larger like this, okay? And then 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, negative 4, and then the last piece would be negative 2. Okay, and then it's all over 3 to the negative 2, x to the negative 8, and then y would be just y to the negative 2, and the last piece, negative and a negative, this one turns into a positive. Okay, so the complicated part about this one is now that we have this set up, you guys need to make sure you get rid of all the negative exponents next. Okay, so when we do that, this is going to be, these are all negative. So actually we're going to flip this entire equation on the top down to the bottom. Okay, x6, y4, z2. And then this one here, we would flip this portion of it to the top. So 3 squared, x to the 8th, y squared, and then the z stays on the bottom. Now you just do your simplification or your solving. 3 squared is 9. And 2 squared is 4. So at this point, I know I can eliminate these 2 answers right here. Okay. Now you have a 50-50 shot of getting right. Remember what it is. There's 8 x's on the top. So let me cross these off. And 6 x's on the bottom. If there's 8 on top and 6 on the bottom, remember you start to get them off, or you subtract them from each other, or you divide them out. And then what happens is you'll have 6 minus 2, or 8 minus 6 is 2. So here we got x squared. All right, you don't have to go any farther, but make sure that that's kind of the key factor going forward, that you guys understand that sometimes you only have to go to a certain point to actually get everything done. Next, you can make Chris, I'm just doing a video real quick. That you would do the square root of 56. And so make sure that you guys split this out. Now, I still don't remember what it is, so the biggest key thing that I use is I take 2 out first. Even if you don't know, just take 2 out. So if I know that, I know 2 goes into there twice, and then 2 goes in 18, 28 times, and then I know I can split this. I do know that 4 times 7 is 28, okay? So when you have this set up here, now you square root these like this. And then I'll bring it up here real quick just so you guys can see it. All right, 7 and square root of 4. Now, here's the key. You can answer this one, okay, to be 2, all right? But you can't answer these 2. So you have to multiply them back together, and then you leave them under. So 2 times 7 is 14, and there's your setup. If you look at your answers, you kind of see we're going along the right track, so D is off the board right away. Now you have to figure out, we had talked about in class, knowing that basically this x squared, okay, that this equals x, all right? Same analogy goes in 2 times 2, all right? 2 times 2, square root of that is actually 2. So, because 2 times 2 is 4, you guys will all recognize that the square root of 4 is 2, but why is it? It's because it's 2 numbers. When you separate them out like this into pieces, you're basically cutting them in half, and you have it come out as 2. So if you have 2 under here and it's an even number, it's going to be an x. Okay, if I had 4 of them under here, all right, I'm going to pull out 1, and then I'm going to pull out another one, so I'll pull out 2. All right, remember the key factor, though, is that if you have one where you have to leave one behind, okay, the last piece of it is that if you have a strangler behind, you take 2 out here to make x, but then unfortunately you have 1 left behind, so that's when it sets up like that still, okay? So that's the main key thing I need to make sure you guys remember. So in this case, when we have m, it's going to be, or m squared, it's going to be m, n squared, and then the p is p to the 5th, and you leave 1 behind. The big key thing on this one then is the answer B. Now, this one looks similar to it, but we did not teach you guys how to do absolute value. You won't actually see that on the test. So please don't get freaked out about that, and you go from there. 11 and 12, okay? You just graph those in decimals, and then you match the pictures on that. That's the simplest part to do it. The one key thing to remember on the test is that the domain is all real numbers, okay? It's always all real numbers. Don't ever stray away from that. Just know that that's what the answer is. And last but certainly not least, investments. Determine the amount invested, okay? Here is the formula. All right, so, and, oops, I forgot another n. So it's n times t. Big thing to remember for tomorrow, okay, is I want to make sure you guys fully understand that n to the t. Okay, so what does this represent? All right, it means it's going to be A equals, P is the principal amount, which is 500, okay, and then it's going to be 1 plus. And my rate is 4.25, so remember, you move the decimal places 2 points, 0.425, okay, and then what happens is, this n represents how many times it's compounded annually, okay? So how many times you do it a year? If it's done quarterly, this answer here then becomes 4. If it's semi-annually, that would be 2. If it's monthly, that would be 12. If it's just annually itself, it'd just be 1. We had talked about that. And then the n again, 4, and then how many years? 12. Put this into decimals, or your calculator. Make sure you do the calculation correctly, and you'll get your answer, and it should come out to be C. Okay, but that is the initial setup of the question. Transportation talks about depreciation, right? That is decay. Okay, when you guys have that written down, the decay factor, all right, is going to be y equals, and it's 28,000, just like this, okay? And then we go 1 minus the rate, it's point, so you move the point twice, and you know it's 0.08 to the, not t, but it's to the 8, because we want 8 years. You enter that into decimals, pretty simple. Now right away, if you're depreciating, you know you're not going to have a car value greater than 28,000. So you got a 50-50 shot of it being either A or B. When you put it into the calculator, you should get letter B. All right, and then finally on here, we have our growth formula, okay? Plus R to the T. One big thing is when you have the growth formula, all you got to do is plug this in now. So it's y equals, A is the initial amount, and it's going to be 1 plus R, so the rate is going to be 0.067, right, because you move the decimal places twice, and then you set up to the T, okay? Now, on this one, it's pretty simple. All right, this one here, you match up the formula to see which one it is. And the only one it can be is C. Now, if you don't match up the formula, just make sure you know how to read this, okay? And make sure that you guys get the correct annotation, so that's 23. As it stands right now, I just spoke with Mr. Parsons after class, and he informed me that he's letting his students use his notes. So I will probably let mine use theirs, especially this review. So if you have it, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you use it, okay? If you don't watch this video and you left your review like a couple students have, you snooze, then you lose. So, so here's one that was nicely written on, and it's nice to see that I have a couple little things written down, and oh well. So ladies and gentlemen, good luck. Remember, this is worth 40% of your grade. It's the last big test, and then we have Alex due for this week and next week, and then our final. Other than that, good luck. Study up.